All right. The 2025 housing predictions are coming in. Everyone's kind of placing their markers on there. And I'm going to be on the bullish side of this. There's a lot of people thinking we're going to see a lot of inflation, that interest rates are high, that the economy is going to be sluggish, that we may be going into a recession. There's a lot of unknowns out there, and I'm going to make the case for it's going to go the other direction, and I'll get into that in a minute. But basically, we have Lance Lambert published a bunch of different people's predictions on what housing values will do next year. So Zillow is predicting about a 2.6% increase in 2025 on house values. Housing Wire is predicting 3.5% increase in house values. Fannie Mae is predicting 3.6% increase in housing values. Mortgage Banker Association is predicting 1.5% increase in values. Wells Fargo is predicting 4.9% increase in house values. And to top the charts, we have a group called Apollo Capital, and they're predicting 10.8%. That's a big difference. So let's put that into a little bit of perspective. Let's just say the median house is right around 350. I think it's like 360 something out there now. So if you just increase 3% of your house value at 350,000, that house price will increase by about 10,500 next year. You increase it by 10%, well, that's 35,000. So let's just say it goes up by 10,000 next year. Are the doomers that are waiting for house prices to drop, are they going to be able to save that 10,000? I don't think it's going to drop. I think the money supply has changed. It's a denominator issue. It's not the housing issues. There's a lot of factors that go into that. So I don't think waiting to buy is a good idea. I think your opportunity to buy is now, and I think the floodgates are going to open up next year for a few reasons. So basically, where do I start with this? Why do I think it's going to increase in value? Why would I lean more towards that 10% increase in house prices? The main reason is, and why I think a lot of people are predicting low, is with the new administration. They're thinking a lot of these proposals are going to be inflationary. I think it's going to be the exact opposite. I think inflation's going to get crushed. And the reason I say that is, I'll kind of pull up the notes here. So Javier Milei, he is the new president of Argentina. He's put in about a year ago. And he went in and he slashed that government, and he did some remarkable things. So Argentina posted their first budget surplus in 12 years, monthly surplus in January, February, and March of 2024, and their monthly inflation dropped from 25% in December 2023 to around 3.5% by September 2024. And then their country risk decreased 10.4% to a 5-year low. So the economic reforms he did was deregulation, measurements were implemented, the repeal of rent control, which led to a 40% decrease in rent prices and a 300% increase in rental property supply in Buenos Aires. Labor market reforms and market liberalization efforts were initiated. Several state-owned firms, including Aerolíneas Argentinas, are set for privatization. So they're expecting the GDP to grow between 5 and 6% in 2025. So the first year of cutting, when he went in there and he started just cutting all the government spending and programs, he went through like a bull and just started cutting. And that's exactly what the Trump administration is proposing with DOGE, Department of Government Efficiency. So if they go in and they do what Milei did to Argentina, and they start just cutting out the fat, start ripping out these departments that are just bloated, wasting taxpayer money, and they're creating this inflationary pressure, I think we're going to see inflation get crushed. And then that's going to bring the 10-year down. So as a 10-year down 10-year note goes down. That's going to spur investment, and then they may cut it to such a point that they're going to be worried about deflation. And then to prevent deflation, they're going to have to start really loosening up the reins on money supply and start allowing a lot of loans to be created to start pumping money back into the system. So it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. But I think that's going to how it's going to unfold. Is they're going to unleash something in this economy that has not been unleashed for many, many years, because there's been such a ball and chain, such a weight around private enterprise to create business. There's been such a bloating of regulations, housing regulations to create housing. I think that's going to spur on huge investments. So I think we're going to see a run up next year on house prices because we're going to see the immediate impacts. And then I think it's going to take a couple years before housing supply can start to get implemented and start bringing prices down again. So that's why I think we're going to see a bull run next year on house prices. It's going to be as a direct result of this DOGE government efficiency. I don't know if I'll go as high as 10%, but I'm probably going to split the difference and say it's probably going to be around 7% increase. And I think rates are going to drop. Just the spread alone, if that spread, if the bankers get confidence, that spread between the 10-year Treasury, if that kind of closes the gap, I think we're going to see. That that mortgage rates are going to drop into the low sixes. That's my prediction for next year. We'll see what happens. If we start getting more in the low predictions, and they're pretty close to that in my state right now, we're sitting at about 6.4, 6.5. So if we start getting closer to that 5.9 or 6.2, I think that's going to unleash a lot of demand. And then I think we're going to see a lot of bidding on housing. I think that economy is going to start moving again. So we'll see how it happens. There's a lot of stuff that's going to unfold, but I don't think we're dealing with the traditional predictions, right? Because you can kind of predict if things stay the same, that if you hit an object here, it's going to move this way. I think what's going to happen next year is all the rules are going to change. I think they're going to go in and they're going to clean that much house where suddenly we're dealing with a whole paradigm, a totally different paradigm. So everything that the economists use now really aren't. We're playing by new rules, and I don't think we've seen this kind of potential freedom that we've seen, in many years. So I think that's going to have much different dynamics, and I think it's going to create the animal spirits, if you will, of this business generation. It's just going to spur on innovation. People will be able to act out their ideas and implement new businesses and without being strangulated by regulation. So I think that's really what we're going to see probably in the middle or second half of the year. It's going to take a while to get through there, and there's going to be a lot of obstacles thrown in the way. But I'm pretty bullish on what the economy is going to do next year, and I think the housing market is going to rip for 2025. And then I think inventory with the deregulation is going to catch up, and we're going to fill in that supply. And then you'll see a lot of doomers out there on the internet talking about there's not a supply issue. Well, there is a chart on that, and I'll show you that in a minute. But Freddie Mac estimates we're 3.7 million housing units short. That includes apartments. So what I did is I just went to St. Louis Federal Reserve database, and the blue line is going to be housing inventory estimate. And then second quarter of 2000 equals 100. Okay, so we start at 2000. Then the household estimates, April 2000 equals 100. So that's where we start, April 2000. And then you will see the spread between the household estimates and the inventory estimates. Now, granted, they're estimates, but you can see that spread during the housing bubble. You'll see a huge spread, and this is when housing was affordable. The households to inventory was lower, and then probably about 2016, that the households, the millennial generation started entering the housing market, started moving out of their parents' house. The economy got better, and these household formations started to happen. And then that gap got closer and closer. But what happened way back here, and I'm pointing the arrow, but I see it's not showing up on the screen here. But during the 2008 housing crash, that spread there, you'll see that blue line flat lines till about 2015, 2016. Banks were not really lending on new housing production. So that blue line, that trajectory should have been going up at a much steeper climb. It should have dipped a little bit, but we didn't keep up with the production of housing units. And that is why we're short so many units. It's because of the housing crisis. The banks were in trouble. They were taking all these houses back. There wasn't demand to build new houses. And then the banks stopped lending because they weren't in a position financially to do it. So that cut off the supply. And we don't feel that for years to come. And that's why it's taken this long to all of a sudden really feel that impact. But this is a result of the housing crash. They weren't building enough housing units, and then when those households started forming, it started chewing up what little supply was there, and now we have a shortage. We have to kick production in, and we're going to have to reduce regulations. We're going to have to reduce building codes and streamline the building process and make it easier for builders to bring housing units to the market. There's too much regulation, too much costs. When you have 60 grand just in building permits and sewer access and stuff, that's just too much. And then the land costs get too much. So if we can streamline those, and I think the DOGE will do that, I think in a few years, it takes a few years to get that production going because you got to go through the approval processes. Then I think we're going to add to the supply, and then I think that housing and households will stabilize again, and we'll build enough houses, and that the price to your income to the house values will start to stabilize again. This isn't going to last forever. We're paying the price for the housing crash. This is a direct result of the housing crash. So that's where the shortage came from, and until we address it and take care of it, it's going to be painful for a while. And I think for 2025, I think you're going to get a good run on house price appreciation. It's going to hurt any of those that are not in the market. But like I said, if you've got even 3% appreciation on a median house, you're $10,500. Who's going to, how many are saving $10,500? I mean, a number of people, but you add that on top of your savings rate. That's why the rich get richer. Now, let's say you own a few houses for rentals. Now you own 100 houses. That's the power of this. It's shorting the U.S. dollar. But I think long-term effect is this is going to get resolved. But I think 2025 we're going to see a run-up in house prices. So I've been noodling this for a while. I've been really busy trying to get these thoughts, trying to take a few minutes just to jump on here and get these thoughts out. So just wanted to share my thoughts on this. Be curious what you think. But no, I think 2025, it's going to start out a little slow and a little chaotic, but I think that second half of the year is really going to start to rock. So that's all I got for now. So I'm going to sign off, and we'll catch up with you later.